students of class 12. I am Ma'am Navina, and today I have come to discuss and explain the first chapter of your history. Okay, and I very warmly welcome all of you to class 12 without your exam. Okay, but don't think that that was your advantage to get promoted without having any exam. It would have been good to sit for an exam, and it would be good for you also, you all also, and for us also to examine, to see what is your capability. Okay, and another disadvantage was that you have now limited knowledge about history of some chapters, and thus I will advise you that if you get time, just go through those chapters which had not been done properly, the last chapters and all, because those are very much important if you in future decide to take history as your major. Okay, so these are some of the advices, and and I warmly welcome you to class 12, and hope so that this year will not be like last year. You all will be doing your best and completing your secondary from our school. So all the best to all of you. Okay, so today in this first class of class 12 history, I am going to discuss and explain the first lesson of your history. This lesson is bricks, beads and bones. Okay, the theme 1, bricks, beads and bones. Okay, so why this chapter has been named as bricks, beads and bones? This chapter is related with one of the ancient civilization of the world, and this civilization flourished in the subcontinent, Indian subcontinent. Okay, and it has been found out that it is one of the contemporary civilization which flourished in this time, that was the Mesopotamian civilization. Okay, this Indus Valley civilization or the Harappan civilization, it has two names. Okay, it also is known as Harappan and also as Indus Valley civilization. So this civilization was a contemporary to Mesopotamian civilization, which is said to be one of the ancient civilizations of the world. Okay, so why this chapter has not been given the name the Indus Valley civilization in your book? Why Harappan civilization? Okay, so this Harappa or Harappan comes from the word Harappa. Harappa was the first site, S-I-T-E. Site here means the place where the archaeologists found out this civilization, the first place where they excavated and found out this civilization. So that place was known as Harappa, and that's why it is also known as Harappan civilization. Okay, so this civilization has been found that it was 5,000 years ago it flourished. Okay, 5,000 years ago it flourished for about 1500 years. That is from Common Era 3300 to 1300 before Common Era. Okay, so long it flourished. Okay, and in this long period, when the archaeologists excavated, they found that there was little bit gap in between, like maybe 200 to 150 to 200 years. In this time period, nothing has been found. No source has been found to tell us about the time period where this 200 and 150 years gap, why it was there. Okay, nothing has been found. So the archaeologists, they believe that some natural calamities or something had accidental, something had happened. That is why nothing has been found of that period. Okay, so they have divided this civilization into two different groups. That is the early Harappan and the mature Harappan. Okay, the early Harappan, some artifacts, some objects, some things. Artifacts here means things made by man, like ornament, jewelry, toys, weapons, those have been found. Okay, but and also of mature Harappan, but in between there is little bit gap. That periods nothing has been found, so they believe that something had happened in between in this civilization. Okay, so this was about the Harappan civilization. Now, why this chapter has been given the title Bricks, Bones and Beads? Because this civilization, the Indus Valley civilization, it doesn't have any written record. Okay, it comes under proto-history. Okay, because there are some evidences, some sources are there, but those sources cannot be studied. Okay, some scripts have been found on the seals and all. Okay, in your book you'll get this picture of a seal. Okay, this is a seal, and here you can find some inscriptions. Scripts are written, but this is not understandable. Nobody can read it or learn it, so it becomes difficult. Only some pictures can be identified, like a bull and all. So these have been these are only some of the things which are helpful in telling us about the history of this period, along with this bricks. Okay, why bricks? We learn in the chapter why bricks, why beads and why bones. These are all the artifacts made by the people of this civilization. Bricks were there to build the cities, okay, settlement areas and all. Beads will come across. Why beads? Beads were the materials through which they would use to make ornaments and all, jewelry and all. Okay, why bones? By the help of the bones, we come to know. We have archaeologists have got some burial places. Okay, burial of the people of this civilization, and these bones. Through these bones, we come to know about this civilization. Okay, that is why the title of this chapter is Bricks, Beads and Bones. Okay, now we'll come across further in the chapter the subsistence strategies of this the people of this period. What do you mean by subsistence strategies? Subsistence means to exist on this earth. Okay, what do you have to do? What does man need? Man needs food, clothing and shelter, the main things. Okay, so what did he do for his existence in this period, for his living? He used to do agriculture. That has been found out by the archaeologists. Now, how they have found out? History is nothing without source, isn't it? So how have they found out? That is by getting evidences of charred grains. Charred, C-H-A-R-R-E-D, charred here means burnt. Burnt grains have been found, and those grains are like wheat, barley, chickpea, okay, and millets also. So these have not turned into ash, they have burnt out and they are now black and charred, like a charcoal. Okay, so these are some of the evidences. And again, they have also found some, archaeologists have also found some agriculture techniques used in that period by the help of the artifacts again. Okay, by the help of artifacts again. Here they have found that people of that period, they knew plowing of field was done. How come they came to know? That also by the help of the artifacts, the toy models of a plow. Then on the seal there is the bull, the bull inscripted, and this bull, they came to know that it might have been used for plowing the field. Again, in the excavation, archaeologists also found furrowed plowed field. Okay, furrows were there on the plowed field. These evidences also prove that the people of this period, they knew agriculture and they cultivated grains for their subsistence. Okay, then again they also took help of the cattle, sheep, goat, buffalo, pig. Okay, all these animals remains have been found. Then they also did fishing. They lived on fishing also. Okay, so fish remains have been found. Charred fish. Okay, fossils of fish. This animal fossil also have been found of that period, and these are all the evidences that how the people of this civilization, their different ways of subsistence strategies, how to exist, how to earn their living, how did they live. So this was how they used to do. Now, how artifacts are identified? When you go to page number 27. Okay, there you'll find how artifacts are identified, and this column is very much important. This paragraph in your book is very much important. It comes in the exam as a source. Okay, how the artifacts are identified by the archaeologists. So there you'll find a picture of a saddle quern. Okay, here it just looks like, I think nowadays we don't have, but mainly in some of the houses you'll find a grinding stone. Okay, a big huge stone, and on the top of it a small it's one oval stone is there, and we grind the masalas or grains. So these type of querns have been found, and how the archaeologists have identified it, they are relating it with the present artifacts used by man. Okay, how we used in our times, those artifacts are, when we find it of that period, we relate it and we come to realize that, oh, this was being used by the people of this ancient time. Okay, so this saddle quern, there are of two types. One is long, big one, larger on the ground and grinded with help of a small rectangular oval shaped small one. Okay, and another one in your book you'll get, that is elongated one. Okay, and it was used for pounding. Just you'll see there, the second stone was used as a pounder. Two main types have been found, those on which another smaller stone was pushed or rolled to and fro, and others with which a second stone was used as a pounder. Querns of the former type were probably used solely for grain, and the second type was used for pounding herbs. Okay, when you pound a herb, you use it. When you pound a grain, you use the larger one. So this question comes that how did the archaeologists identify the artifacts, for of what use? When they found out all these things, how did they identify it, that this is a quern? Okay, or this was used for this reason. Okay, so that is there. Now we come to a very important center, urban center of this period. Okay, urban center. Urban here means center, a place which is like a town or a city. So in this civilization, there was a big, huge urban center, and that is Mohenjo-daro. Okay, a planned urban center, and it also says planned. Okay, well planned center was there, urbanized center, and that was the Mohenjo-daro. Okay, and in this planned center, we find that it had two different sections. Okay, one section, the first section was small and high. The second section was large but low. Okay, the first section was small but high. The second was large but low. So two types of settlement areas were there in this urban center. Okay, so why it was, which one was high and small? That was known as the citadel. Okay, C-I-T-A-D-E-L, citadel. It was supposed to be the place for the royal person, okay, the authority. That is why it was a smaller area, but it was in a higher ground. Okay, so in this citadel, archaeologists have found two different main physical characteristics. That is, number one, a warehouse, and number two, the great bath. Very important. Okay, a warehouse has been found, a very huge warehouse, workshop type. Okay, and a great bath has been found. So this two we'll be discussing further. Okay, then this citadel. Okay, you can go to citadel. This citadel and the lower the lower settlement area and larger one, both of them, they were being fortified. They were all walled from all the sides. Okay, that so that no enemy could enter easily. So the citadel was also fortified, as well as the other common area where the common people used to live. That place was larger and low. Okay, where the royal people or the nobles used to live, that was the citadel. It was small in area but higher in position. Okay, so now these walls or the settlement areas, they were all made of bricks. So that is why bricks comes in the chapter, the topic bricks. Bricks are very important of this period. Through the help of the bricks, many things have been known about this civilization. Okay, so these bricks, they were all sun dried or baked. Okay, sun dried means dried in the sun, baked means put in the fire, just how we do in the present time. Okay, so all these bricks were sun dried and baked ones. Okay, and these bricks were all of standardized ratio. Okay, standardized ratio, length and breadth, everything was equal of each and every brick. Okay, it was not that one brick is smaller and other brick is bigger, or one brick is broader, thicker, or another one is smaller. Not like that. Each and every brick was of standardized size. Okay, and next one comes the drainage system of this period. Okay, the drainage system. What is drainage system? The drains. Okay, in a planned settlement, in a planned city, two things are very much needed. That is the drainage system and the streets and the roads. So here in this civilization, This Mohenjo-daro, the urban center, was a very planned one, and it also had a planned drainage system. Okay, so all these drains, they were well and carefully planned. Okay, carefully planned. They were laid in grid pattern. Okay, grid pattern, all the drains run in right angles. Okay, and laid in grid pattern intersecting at right angles. Okay, and every drain and all the houses, they were all connected with drains, and all the drains of each and every house, it ran into a main drain. Okay, so it is supposed to believe that before making of any house or any temple or any marketplace, first the layout of the drains and the streets was done, and then the houses were being constructed, okay, of this period. Now we come to the domestic architecture of this period. Domestic architecture means what type of houses were there in this period. Okay, when archaeologists excavated, they found some houses. Okay, and these houses, when they found out, these houses, they had courtyard in the middle. Okay, the courtyard was in the middle, surrounded by rooms from all the sides. Okay, and none of the walls had any windows. There was no window. Okay, and the entrance or the gate of the house, it did not give any view of the interior of the house. Okay, it was placed in such a manner that the gate did not allow any passerby to peep inside the house or interior of the house. So in that way, the architecture of the houses were being done of this period. Okay, there were no windows. Main entrance does not give a direct view of the interior of the house, and it was seen that each and every house had a bathroom. Okay, now we come to the Great Bath. Okay, where was this Great Bath? The Great Bath was placed in the citadel area, okay, where the royal people and the nobles lived. So this Great Bath, it is very much important. Okay, why it is known as Great Bath? It's a very huge swimming pool, like our present time swimming pool, okay, of that period. Large rectangular tank. Okay, it was surrounded by a corridor on all four sides. Rectangular tank, corridor on all four sides, then 2 flight of steps in the north and south direction. Okay, north and south direction. 2 flight of steps were there. Okay, so suppose this is the tank. Okay, this is east, west, north and south. So in the north side and in the south side, there were flight of steps which led into the tank. Okay, not in the east and west. There were no steps or staircase in the east and west, only towards the north and south, and these steps led the people down into the tank to have their bath. Okay, and there were rooms on 3 sides, and huge drains were there, and that drain all went to the main drain. Okay, and this bath is known as Great Bath. Why? Because it is supposed to be, and it has been studied by the archaeologists, that it might have been used for some special type of ritual bath, okay, of that period. So that was all about the Great Bath. So today I end up here in this video session. In the next class we'll continue with the other part of the chapter. Okay, and as we go through with all these video session, please write down the question answers and review and revise each and every part of this lesson. Okay, Thank you, everybody.
Stay home, stay safe,
Do it for self.
do it for your family, do it for India.
Let's break the chain of COVID-19.
हम होंगे कामयाब, जय हिंद। हम होंगे कामयाब, जय हिंद।
हम होंगे कामयाब। जय हिंद।